All right. Hello and welcome, everybody. And to many of you, welcome back. Here we are with the third installment of SAK Traks, where we're looking at the history of SAK. We've been having a great time over the last several weeks. If you were here last week, you got to meet or re-see some of our founders of the SAK Theater Company, which goes back over 40 years. Oh, look at all the hellos from all people. Hello, hello, hello. We're glad that you're all here. So the founders of the original SAK Theater Company were here last week, the ones who originated SAK as the street theater troupe at the Minnesota Renaissance Festival. And this week, we are kind of moving forward in time to talk about the opening of the SAK Comedy Lab. So I'm going to just to kind of show a little bit of the, so this is our timeline here that we have. I don't know if you guys saw this before. I think I can make that a little bigger, make timeline bigger. So the timeline for SAK is a 43-year timeline. It's a wonderful timeline to look at. Today, we're going to be actually focusing in on this part here, 1991 through about 1996. It's the kind of the opening and early heydays of the SAK Comedy Lab, which still involves a lot of people. I only have a smattering of those people who are here with us, but I'm very excited to have them here. In fact, the people who you are going to see tonight are some in the category of the most important people in my life that I love most of all the people that I love. And so I'm very excited to have us all together. Incidentally, this is also going to be the first time that all these folks are going to be together in 25 years. We've seen each other and been in different combinations over that time, but this is going to be the first time we're all together in the same room. So a couple of reminders. I want to remind you all kind of some of the reasons that we're here. This is a SAK live stream, which we got to do because we can't have our theater open. As you see, I am here live at the SAK Comedy Lab using the space since it's available and I don't have to pay rent or anything. So thank you, Chris Dinger, for letting me come in to use it. But we still want you to buy tickets. So here's what we have. You can actually donate if you want. You can make a donation to SAK, or you can actually buy tickets. We call them gift certificates. So if you go to the SAK front page, SAK.com, you'll actually see this just like an inch down. So you can see you can actually buy a future ticket to SAK. We sell them as gift certificates. You can buy a bunch of tickets, and that actually helps us. It gives us a little income now, and then it'll offer you a chance to come. You'll have your ticket already purchased when it's time for us to get back and do shows, hopefully very soon. We'll have to see how all this rolling out of getting back to some semblance of what we remember as normal life as well. And also, yeah, if you come to SAK.com, you can also you can see all our live stream shows that we're going to be doing. There's a bunch of them. You can actually go to get to our Facebook pages. We do all our live on Facebook, but it's actually YouTube. You can actually pick up the live shows on YouTube now, and we're seeing all that stuff all together. All right, so I think one more thing is that we want you to share. We ask you to share. So if you're going to be able to be with us throughout the show, we want you to share. We have some exciting guests, some very special guests. You probably know them from a lot of TV personalities are going to be here with us today. So share this to your stream. And again, we're going to take all the people who have shared, and we are going to have a drawing of all the people shared and give you a gift. Now, as I mentioned before last week, our friend Robin Pedretti Kelly, she does a show and she gives like a Target gift card, which is very nice. She gives a very nice Target gift card. I don't have any Target gift cards to give out, so this is what I give out. So this is going to be your prize here. If you are actually picked at random, you get a 6-pack of toilet paper. We did this last week, and we did have a winner. So let's see, where's our winner? This is Heather. I delivered her toilet papers via the U.S. mail, so everything is all good for her. All right, let us get into it. We want to find some people to come and visit with us. I've kind of split the history of SAK opening the Comedy Lab into a couple of different eras because many people know that the SAK Comedy Lab and on Church and Court opened in 1991. So we'll get to that. But even before that, there was an iteration or two of SAK that you may not know about. Now, the original iteration of SAK was at a place called the Carrie Hand Funeral Home. This was just down on Pine Street. It's actually a historic building, so that building is actually here today. And we were only there for 1 month. So this is how we got into that place. I'm going to start out by having John bring Terry Olson, who's joining us. Bring Terry Olson into the broadcast studio. Hi, Terry.
Hey there, Dave.
How are you doing?
Good.
So going to take like a minute or so to let people know how we even got to the building that we had on Church and Court. But before that, we got into this place called the Carrie Hand Funeral Home. The first home for SAK was a funeral home. But
Isn't it was a great place for comedy.
Yes, it was being unused at the time, and the master skills of Terry helped us get in there. So tell us, Terry, real quickly, how we were able to get into that space. This was April of 1990.
Well, we were looking around for spaces. SAK had been at Epcot Center through 1989, and then we were looking for spaces to create our own space. So I looked at houses to see if they were big enough to squeeze an audience in. We looked at different spaces, and there was right downtown on Pine Street, which is now the UCF facility, I think, this empty building that used to be a funeral home. So we said, hey, let's make it into performance space. And we did a couple different performance spaces there. The Orlando Theater Project did a comedy also there, comedy about a corpse. And we did the theater sports.
Very good. So now Orlando Theater Project, which was also another program or project or theater that you helped get started. One of the many things that Terry Olson helps get started in our wonderful Orlando. So that was, you said that we're the Hearses Park. Our friend and Lisa Curtis, who is actually a SAK member and alumni from our Epcot years and stuff. She was actually in that show. She starred in that show, and that was in there. And then in the chapel, which was all empty, we decided to put the Comedy Lab. So I'm going to bring in right now, bring up Will and Claire. I think they're actually on one screen. Going to have Will and Claire join us. Yeah. Oh, very good. Hi, Will. Hi, Claire. How are you?
Hi, Dave.
My friends, these folks are in Pacific time, so that's why it's still sunny where they are outside. But I want to talk a little bit about how we got even into thinking we could open a theater. So you guys are going to help us through that. But I also want to bring to our fore a couple of other folks. So if I can get, Gary Roman should be with us. So bring Gary Roman. He's one of the original people who was in the original show we did at this Carrie Hand Funeral Home. And bring in Joel and Dano if we can fit them in as well. So ladies and gentlemen, we've got Terry Olson, Will and Claire Sarah, Gary Roman, Joel McCrary, and Dano Sullivan. So everyone say hello. You can talk.
Hello.
Very good. All right. So I'm going to go back to Will and Claire. So take us, even before we got to the Carrie Hand Funeral Home, we were starting to create material. So tell us about that impetus. How did that all kind of take place?
Well, we had been doing some improv together, and we thought it'd be fun to create an improvised play, like the structure of a play, improvised from the inside out, stealing a little bit from Vancouver Theatre Sports, where I was born. So we came up, I can't remember who, we all came up with the idea for the hospital setting, and then we started having rehearsals in our garage.
Well, you and Dano
in College Park.
In College Park. You and Dano wrote a loose script first, wasn't it? Or was it afterwards?
No.
I'll take credit for it, Will, but
no, there was no script for that. We just started rehearsing.
We were
no idea of anything. And then Mark McGill would transcribe it after rehearsal.
Right.
And we would take the stuff that was funny and keep it. But we had we were just rehearsing with nowhere to go or nowhere to perform it at all.
Nothing to say.
No. Yeah, and this was just before, or just around the same time we were losing the Epcot contract.
Yeah, so that actually carried over into losing it. So we're talking, the year here is 1989. That was the last year of the Epcot, October of 1989, I think it went through. If Terry, you can corroborate that. So we were left, we weren't necessarily homeless, but we were about to be, but we were all unemployed. And so there was a lot of that energy of what are we going to do? So the idea was we are going to create the SAK Comedy Lab. We had this opportunity when this Carrie Hand developed that, okay, we can do it for a month. We can have 4 shows in the month. And that's all that it lasted. So we did the 4 shows in the Carrie Hand Funeral Home. I think everybody in the room was in the show. Was there anybody missing? I remember this name, Danny Hardigan. Who started as a hospital administrator? Was it you, Will, or Danny? You both kind of did it. Was he in there?
I think we both did. I did it like I did it like several different times, but I think Danny did it.
Yes.
Yeah, and who else did it?
I thought it was just you and Danny.
Just me and Danny.
And then, so do this show at 8 o'clock at night, and then we had the brainstorm. Hey, how about at 11 o'clock later in the evening? Let's try this thing called theater sports. And so Claire had mentioned that she was our theater sports, our improv director at that time, because she had lived in Vancouver where they were doing Vancouver theater sports. And so she had a lot of great background in all of that. And so we were able to kind of start that rolling with us. So we thought, let's just do a show at 11 p.m. How are we going to get people there? I don't know. Let's just talk about it on the street or put out some flyers. So who remembers some of that time? And we were all surprised. I do remember this. We were all surprised that people were coming to this show at 11 o'clock at night. Talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, we passed around flyers around in the streets of Orlando. And this was like, Orlando wasn't the vibrant town that it is now. It was I just experienced a sort of a financial dip. So, I mean, people showed up. We were handing out flyers, and people showed up. Some people we had to turn away because they were a little too intoxicated. I do remember that it was just the weirdest thing to this little hole-in-the-wall theater, like a funeral home, and people showing up. And
I remember it was really exciting because we knew it was such a company town, Orlando. It was Disney and Universal and the theme parks. And so people had day jobs that they would get up early and go to. And the city, such as it was dead at night. Mm-hmm. That's why it was such a delight to find out. I also remember that we rehearsed using the bodies from the Carahan Theater.
Yeah. They were embalmed bodies there, and we used them as audience members. As long as you have
bodies.
Yeah. Just,
butts and
suggestions
seats
and things like that.
That's what we always said. We just want bodies. I'm going to bring up a little photo and catch Gary here because we have so many guests. I have to kind of piggyback the guests and bring someone in, bring someone out. But hopefully I can get this. So this is a picture of some early theater sports.
Oh, gosh.
Especially show this. This is also Las Vegas Hospital, not the full cast, but just Dano as Dr. What was your name again? Sorry, Dano.
It was Dr. Cajun, who later morphed into Dr. Bugsy Livingston Seagull.
Dr. Bugsy, yes.
Well, it was Dr. Carl Cajun.
Dr. Carl Cajun.
This was the days before everything was PC, so we had a lot of fun with that. But also, director attention to the photo on the left, we got Gary Roman in there, so I want Gary to chime in here. So, Gary, you were actually Dr. Jornge Svensson in our production there.
Yeah, he was.
Sven.
Yeah.
Sven. That's right. Sven.
Sven.
We also have our friend in that picture. His name is Andy Anthony. He's on the top row in the middle. We've lost Andy several years ago, about 5 years ago, so he's still in our hearts. But Gary, talk about your experience with this Las Vegas Hospital and doing theater sports and improv and the like.
Well, it was, first of all, yes, it was just getting that started at Carahan. We were trying so hard to, wrest away the title of cultural black hole from Orlando and make something happen. And, it was an exciting time because, the fact that we were doing it in a funeral home was trippy. I remember still running around during rehearsals, shows, in between shows, trying to figure out, is this place freaking haunted or not? And so of course, let's do comedy. Why not, right? And I think it may have started. I think Las Vegas Hospital, once it really got going, I think Husker Du. I seem to remember.
No, say it like you said it.
Husker Du. And and I had to tap into my roots. I got roots in my soul, and they're from Minnesota, and so I tapped into that. Yeah, for sure, you betcha. And and so Dr. Sven was born, and he morphed too. He started out as as kind of a lunatic, surgeon, but he morphed later on into a failed Las Vegas magician who performed magic tricks. And, for everything from pulling the dove out of the patient's body to my favorite one, which was you one time, I think Danny maybe was hospital administrator, and he picked my cousin. And I didn't know it. And I would always come up from backstage, and they'd already picked the patient. And I'd say, hey, who's our helpless patient tonight? And I'd come out, and I turn and look, and it's Ben. They go, Husker Du. We were too busy cracking ourselves up. He said at one point, Joel made him laugh so damn hard during intermission when he was feeding him Jell-O. He made him laugh so hard that he shot it up his nose and swallowed it again. So, I mean, hey, you know.
Lots of good stories. So, Gary, somebody in the comment has actually commented on your 38 special T-shirts. They seem to know. They must know more about that than I do. So, rocking that 38 special T. So, love it. So, wonderful one. Oh, there's Tammy in there.
Tammy. That's my beautiful wife, Tammy. Ladies and
Hello,
gentlemen.
beautiful wife, Tammy. All right, Gary. So, we're gonna. I'm gonna put you in the green room, so we're not losing you just in the broadcast, so we can bring some more up, and we'll pop people back in and out as necessary or needed. But I do want to bring into the fold here. First of all, I'd like to invite Morgan to come in and join me here. I think I have a chair right for you, Morgan. So this is the lovely Morgan Russell. Because we're now kind of transitioning. We're going from that theater sports at the Carey Hand into the building we had on Church and Court. So another very important person. I think you all may know this person. So can you bring my special friend into the fold here?
A puppet?
Mr. John Valinas. There we go. Oh, look at that! It's Mr. It's Mr. Wayne Brady. Or as you can see, sir. Hello, Wayne Brady.
Sir.
What's up, y'all? I do have to point out that Wayne Brady did perform theater sports at the Carey Hand.
That's what I was saying. That's why we brought him in right now, because this is that transition. So he came in through our theater sports, but we want to get to the origin story. Like this is Marvel, Wayne. And that was like right fresh in your SAK improv career. We threw you out on stage. It wasn't long after you've been in the classes. So if you don't mind, let's have Wayne and Claire kind of talk about the story of how we got to know and meet Mr. Wayne Brady.
Well, I can't hear Claire, so I don't know what's wrong with my side of it. So I will just say that I met Claire in '89. I graduated high school in '89, and that summer I did an industrial movie with Claire. We hit it off. She was stupidly funny, and then I guess I made her laugh once or twice. And she said, you should come and take class from my husband and I. And I said, what kind of class? An improv class. And I didn't know what improv was. She explained that it was making theater up on the spot. And I took one class, and you guys were teaching at the time at this warehouse industrial place off of La Quinta.
Yeah.
And I remember Emily was in the class with me, myself, and maybe 3 other people. And it was the beginning of the most amazing college experience for life that one could have. I started learning then, and then I got involved in the Orlando Theater Project with Terry and Alice Smethram at the time. I auditioned and did a couple of pieces for them, slowly started working with the group. And this was still when the transition to the funeral home was being made. I swept up in return for classes because I was broke, and I was very happy to be able to do it. And I actually worked props on Las Vegas Hospital, so I got a chance to watch Las Vegas Hospital every night. Husker Du! I used to laugh my ass off. And then the theater sports happened, and I was one of the trainees in theater sports, and I forget who, but it was Claire and maybe Joel and a couple other people, and Dave were like the theater sports team, and myself and Emily Justine and David Watts, we would be on the side of the stage, and maybe we could jump up and do a game or two. And I remember with crystalline clarity, the first laugh I ever got on stage doing theater sports. I was shooting a commercial for the NFL right around the corner. And I left the commercial, ran inside. This was during Desert Storm. And it was a freeze tag scene about the war and something about a potato farmer. And I jumped on the potato and said, Spuds. And people actually laughed at that. And that was the thing that got me bitten. I was like, this is it. And it was the most amazing thing ever. Spuds.
Very nice.
So that's my superhero origin story.
Okay, wonderful. So just again, I think I can't remember if we touched on this. I might have moved on too quickly, but talking about the crowds that showed up for the theater sports at 11 o'clock. Did we talk about that?
Yeah.
I'm not paying attention to the show. And part of that is because I had something come in that I want to share with you all in just a second. But I want to encourage everybody to share again. Don't forget, we're going to have a drawing drawing for that free toilet paper, 6 mega rolls of toilet paper. Share this with your friends. But I actually have someone on the phone, on the line, that wants to say hello to you also. Are you there on the phone? Can you say hello?
Hello, everybody. How you doing?
Can you guys hear that? That is Satch Keith Cody. Bring everybody up.
What are you doing here?
Yes. So, Satch, what's going on?
Doing good. Just here in Orlando, doing live gigs and stuff. Well, when it permits, and glad to be a part of this. It's fantastic to see everyone.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, Satch was he was our original keyboardist, pianist, and we had music in the show of Las Vegas Hospital, and Satch actually was that musician. And then when we transitioned into theater sports, we started doing some musical stuff too. So Satch was one of our early musicians. So, anybody have a wonderful Satch memory they can tell real quick? Anybody have anything they remember fondly about Satch? I mean, we all remember you fondly, but any stories that are worth telling?
Herb.
Well, my favorite thing with Satch was during Las Vegas Hospital. My primary goal when I played the hospital administrator was to make him lose it. That was my primary goal. It wasn't for the audience. It wasn't for the show. It was to make Satch spit up and laugh so hard he couldn't play the piano. That was probably one of my favorite times with that.
Very nice.
And you succeeded wonderfully, my friend.
Very good. All right. So thank you so much for letting me give you a call and talk with us, Satch. We miss you. We love those years, and we'll talk with you soon and see you in a little bit. All right. Take care, Satch.
Fantastic.
Bye, Satch.
Good to talk to you as well.
Bye.
Thank you, sir. All right. So now I can already tell I'm getting way far behind because there's so much going on, but there's so much to tell. So I want to again introduce Morgan. So we're going to talk now about transitioning into the opening of the SAK Comedy Lab at the we called it the well, it used to be a realty building for what do they call that?
Title insurance.
Title company.
A title company. It was a title company. And so I'm going to bring up, I think I've got a picture here that we can look at there. So give me just a second to bring that up. I got to share my screen again and move back. This is a look at the original. Is that going to come up here? Yeah, this is the original home of the SAK Comedy Lab in downtown Orlando. This was on Church and Court Street. Is that up for everybody? The original building was on Church and Court. Terry, I got this picture from you. Is there some significance? This looks like a classic Volkswagen Beetle. Is that one of ours or somebody's, or did that just happen to be in the shot?
No, I think that's the SAK bug that
the SAK bug.
Eventually Stacy had. But I think it was after she took the big logo off of it.
So that's right. I remember there was a SAK logo on there. All right. So now we're going into the the Fun with Science time. So when we moved into the that building on Church and Court, this was a time where there was a second play developed improvisationally, and this was called Fun with Science. And everybody who you see in the room here was involved with that as well. Dano's taking orders. Oh,
yeah.
Oh, so
wow.
Dano was the penner on this. And so Dano, this was actually inspired by a book that apparently Dano stole from the library. Dano, open that cover again. Is that a library?
Fun with Science. Claire and I decided we would write a little playlet. And we tried to find something that was out of copyright so we wouldn't have to pay for it as a source material. And we found this one by May and Ira Freeman. We thought it was Ira Gershwin and that songs would be included. But unfortunately, it's just a children's science book. So that was our source material for Fun with Science. We actually performed some of the experiments from this book live on stage as part of the play.
Right. Right.
All right, so I do want to play. I've got to go back and see if I can bring this, just a couple of real short snippets from Fun with Science. So I'm going to bring this up here if I can make this thing work. So give me one moment, please, while I find this again. And we'll bring this here. So this one's got audio, so I have to click another little thing. So a few little short things from Fun with Science. What are you going to say, Morgan?
I thought it was a master's level science, not children's science. Wasn't it master's level science?
It seemed pretty tough, Dano. You guys wrote some pretty tough stuff in there. All right, so here we go. See if we can share this here. And that are you sharing? Is this going? Oh, I have to pick one thing. All right, here we go. So, ladies and gentlemen, a few snippets from Fun with Science. Well, that's not fun with science. How
It's
does all
going
this stuff
perfectly.
work? How does all this
That was
stuff
one of our
work? All right,
favorite
here we go.
scenes, remember?
This
That
time
was
for
before
real.
the show started.
Mr. Martindale, I brought you an apple put on your desk. Shut up! Shut up! Can't you see there's something horribly wrong with us? Some of us. Push the minus for favors, like to borrow litmus paper. Beakers, testers, graduated silver spoon. People gotta get that guy to the precinct. Somebody's been stealing the toilets and you got nothing to go on.
So that's the style of humor that we used to do back in the day. So that was a little bit of fun with science. So again, we're doing fun with science, and we're also doing some theater sports after that in the late evening. So let's talk about fun with science times, guys. Who's got what to say about that?
I have a favorite line from a song. It might take a glacier age or two till I can walk to be with you. So why can't I see you tonight?
Claire wrote that.
But why can't I see you tonight? And that was from
Epaminondas.
Epaminondas, which was,
Wayne sang that.
that was Wayne's song to sing to his love, Epaminondas. And I could never pronounce that right. Wayne, can you remember that? Can you pronounce it now? Epaminondas.
That's right, Dave.
That is, it is Epaminondas? Oh, I thought.
Wayne is still mad at us about that song.
You can't hear. Yeah.
Wayne can't hear.
Well, he didn't listen very well back then either.
So, Wayne, can you hear me, Wayne? Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Wayne? Oh, he can't. If he can't hear any of us, that's not good. We'll get that technologically worked out. So well, we don't know how to communicate with him. John, if you can communicate with Wayne through the you talk. And while
about Wayne and he couldn't hear it.
oh, we can't hear him either, so we got to get that sound worked out. I'm not sure if, to try to mute and then unmute. So we're going to get that worked out. So John Valinas, let's see if maybe Wayne can just come out and come back in. That sounds like a good idea. So he's going to come out and come back in. In the meantime,
Dano raised a
yes,
finger.
Dano, what you got?
Well, do you remember how close we were to not being called the SAK Theater Comedy Lab?
Tell me more. No, I don't.
We physically built that building with our bare hands, mostly not me, because my bare hands are not meant for that kind of work. But we generally built that theater with our bare hands into that space that had this beautiful 1950s sign on the outside, the Lawyers Title Insurance Company.
Yeah.
And I remember that there was a debate, should we be the SAK Theater Comedy Lab or the Lawyers Title Insurance Theater Company to take advantage of the sign that was already there.
Oh, we were so smart to have picked the SAK Comedy Lab. Here's a little shot of Morgan as Deidre and Claire as Miss Martindale in that one. So I've got a couple other, in addition to doing fun with science that we would do theater sports, we did have one thing where we wanted to do an improv-a-thon. And this was a thought where we wanted to get raise money for the theater. So who remembers, how long did this go, this improv-a-thon?
It was, go ahead, Claire.
I remember like 72 hours.
72 hours. Me too. Yep.
Yeah.
So this went for, did we actually make it to 72 hours?
We did.
Oh, yeah.
It was a terrible idea.
I think I have a picture. This is a picture of the some of that improv-a-thon 72 hours. Now, there's a couple things I want you to notice in this that are really special and important to me. So you'll be able to see some of us in there. But I'm going to close up on this person right over here. If you can notice this person, the gentleman in the blue or turquoise T-shirt. His name is Miguel. Miguel cleans our theater, cleaned and cleans our theater. And I wanted to call him out because Miguel is actually now our longest running consistent employee at SAK. He's got the
funniest.
Wow.
And by far the funniest.
He's by far the funniest as well. Yes,
I
indeed.
still have that wife beater I'm wearing. I literally still own
So
that.
speaking of that white beater, so this is Will. What was your? Do you remember what your show it was again, Will?
What?
You did a show for the Improvathon, and this is a picture of it. Do you remember that?
Yeah, it was performance art.
It certainly was.
Yes. All right. We got Wayne back again. Can we hear you now, Wayne? Can you hear us? Hello, Wayne. Can you hear us?
Wayne.
Ah, you can hear us?
He can hear us.
But we can't hear him.
We can't hear you. So that is very strange and peculiar. John Valinas, help us out. What are we going to do on this?
Well, I'm sure Wayne could do some sign language and you could interpret, Dave.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. I'm sure that we could. So John Valinas can't really do anything about this, John Valinas says. So let's, Wayne, did you go out and use the link again to try to come back in? Wayne, do you remember? He has no idea. He can't hear me. So John Valinas, why don't you put something up on the screen that asks Wayne if he can just go out and come back in clean and fresh while we're talking about a little more of fun with science and theater sports, because we got to get Wayne in here. We got to get him back. Wayne, check your cam mic settings. Try going out, then come back in. All right, that's very helpful here. So I noticed that there's a lot of comments in our comment live feed, and I do want to apologize in advance. I haven't really been paying attention to much of that at all. So if somebody says maybe your browser refresh, that might be a good idea as well. We're going to get this.
I could go for one of those.
Yeah,
would everybody like a browser refresh?
Yes,
there you go. There's a nice browser refresh. Very good.
It's a lot like our old shows.
Yeah.
It started so good, and then right about in the middle, something wild happened. All right, so let's talk a little bit more about when we're in here. Let's get them. I want to bring Matt Young in here since we got time and we're working with Wayne. So this is Matt Young. Hello, Matt Young.
Matt Young!
Hi, everybody.
So again, I've got a new person here. I again want everybody to make sure that you share this, so that everybody can see the glories of Matt as well. So Matt, when we were doing Fun with Science, you were actually in a Fun with Science production, but not that original one. But you came into the fold doing theater sports with us. Tell us how we found you and how you came to be with us performing regularly.
I had gone to see some of the shows at the Carrie Hand Funeral Home, actually, and was just absolutely hooked. And then in the time between the Carrie Hand ending and the lab opening, I remember running into Dave at the intermission of a play that I was seeing. I think at Rollins College, actually. I was seeing a play there, and Dave happened to be.
That's the only play I've ever seen.
Yeah. And I recognized him immediately. And so I said, asked what they were doing, and he said they just opened the lab. So I came down and started taking classes right away. And I was like a junior in high school or something at the time. And started taking classes, and that continued through my senior year. And then I think towards the end of that year, I was asked to do one of my first shows, and I was probably terrible in it, but stuck with it, and you guys let me keep getting on stage. So yeah, it ended up working out okay.
Yes, I see. Wayne, thank you for raising your hand, Will. Let's talk with Will, and then Joel has a thing. But let me check.
I'm playing with the lens flare on our camera.
Oh, nice.
Ooh, nice.
That's so
Nice.
So I'm going to just check it with Wayne. I see he's in our green room, but he's not up yet. Just, can you hear me? Nod if you can hear me, Wayne. We're halfway there. So you know what? I think we're going to try to see if we can hear him again. So Terry Olson, I am going to, there goes Terry Olson. I wanted to say goodbye to Terry Olson.
Bye, Terry. Thank you, Terry.
Thank you, Terry.
Bye, Terry.
So if you could stay in the green room just in case, but let's get Wayne up here and see if we can hear him. How about now, Wayne? Say something. Oh, we cannot hear you. Oh, we're so close because we are halfway there, Wayne. You can hear us.
Creating a whole new show right here.
He's gonna try something else, and we'll get back. This must be like a game we're playing. We're playing this game where where's Wayne? It's like Where's Waldo, but we're at Where's Wayne. So how about a few more Fun with Science stories, or not?
I remember Fun with Science, but first I have a question for Matt, because you were talking about coming to see the shows at Carrie Hand. How did you hear about it? How did you even know about it? Because I'm still fascinated that people showed up to the show.
A friend at high school, his dad was really involved in theater in Orlando, and he, for some reason, had thought that I would be the perfect audience for that show. And he said, "You're going to totally love this. Got to go check it out. And so sight unseen, I went and checked it out, and I was just immediately hooked. Actually, had seen the play first, Las Vegas Hospital. Thought it was amazing. Decided to come back and see it again the next week. But I guess a couple of people were out of town, and so you were doing an improv show instead. So decided to watch that, and it was the greatest thing that I had ever seen. And I remember sitting in the audience and thinking, I want to do that with those people. So it was like a really special time for me.
Yeah, I forgot that the first time we did improv was because we didn't have a cast to do the show, which is perfect.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Dano.
Hey, I'll chime in on Fun with Science. A lot of people ask, how did we come up with that crazy idea for that wonderful show, and what made it so good?
Yeah.
And the whole reason that show exists is because of Joel McCrary in the top right corner. Can we bring him in, John? Can we bring in Joel?
I'm back. I missed you.
In light conversation with Joel, I remember him saying, you know, I've always wanted to be in a play where I got to play lots of different parts. And so we wrote a play for Joel to play lots of different parts. The rest of it is incidental.
Well, as the director, I remember it differently. I remember that when you guys were writing it, you didn't really have the time or effort to put down who said particular lines. So you would just put down, you'd write a line, and then you just say somebody.
Somebody.
And then so somebody became a role.
Will, you're forgetting there was actually a character named Somebody.
Well, that was after.
It became that. Well, Dano, I do remember talking to you because I had always wanted to do the show Greater Tuna and had never had a chance. And it's two actors who play multiple roles, and I'd always wanted to do that. So I remember that conversation saying that. And then it was like a few weeks later, you said, yeah, we wrote something. And you play like 11. Yeah,
one other thing.
Characters.
Can I throw in one more?
Yes,
Okay.
let me get another. I got another quick hello. I think we're going to try again for Wayne in just a second. So let's see if we can hear Wayne. Go ahead and bring Wayne up just to see if we can hear him. We are so close. Hi, Wayne.
Hello.
Yeah!
Yes!
I think that means we can hear you, Wayne.
We can
Yes.
hear you.
But so Wayne, welcome back. I actually am going to bring in. I've got a little hello from someone else here on the phone. Hello.
Hey. Hello.
I don't know if anybody recognizes this voice. I've got all the musicians calling in, but this is Anthony Riley.
Riley.
Yes.
Mr. Riley.
One of our improvisational musicians. Now, yes. So about the time Satch was doing dueling pianos, and Satch was pretty regular, but then got a little busy. And so as we kind of continue on with theater sports, we were doing more shows. Anthony came into the fold. So he's one of our very early improvising musicians. I think Anthony went away for a little bit, right? Anthony, there was like a void time, but you're actually back play at SAK pretty regular in a lot of our corporate shows right now. Is that right?
Oh yeah, I'm down there all the time. Yeah.
So how many years were you? Did we not see you?
I don't know. I started about '93, and I did it for 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
And then I left for a couple years, and I'm one of the guys that played at all 3 theaters. So.
What?
Yeah,
Very
that's
good.
awesome.
Good for you.
So
well,
cool.
that's good.
Same song, all 3 places.
So thank you very much. I'm glad we could get a hold of you. It was just a quick hello because we want to make sure we get some of our musicians. The music is a very important part of all of our shows, and especially as Wayne can attest to, one of the master musical improvisers. Joel's a great musical improviser. Matt is a great singer. Claire's a great singer. Dano is good. Morgan is. I think I'm the only one who was musically challenged during.
Quick question.
Very challenged.
A question from Will. Go ahead, Will.
How come none of the musicians have internet?
I couldn't get them in the green room, Will. I could only get them. So I figured, since they're usually off to the side of the stage, I'll just get them on my phone. It's by design. We're saying hello to them all like that. So, all right. Okay. Thank you very much. It's been great talking to you, Anthony. So,
Thanks.
yes. Now we're in the fun with in the theater sports time, and I see Joel's got a finger up. You have a thought or a question?
Well, I have a quick, and Will, you might have more to say about this, but there was, before we actually opened the lab, there was the Light Up Orlando event. Okay. And I think that had a lot to do with why we actually had audiences.
Right. So go through the history of that real quick. In April of 1990, we were at the Carrie Hand Funeral Home, and that was for 4 weeks. That was for 1 month. And then several months had passed, and in October of 1990, that's when we November of 1990, Light Up Orlando. We had the building. We had the J-Mount building where we had our first home, but it was not built out. There was nothing there. So we had a bunch of cushions on the floor made, and so people came and sat in cushions. We did shows every hour on the hour for about 15 or 20 minutes. Does anybody remember? And so that was the second birth of the SAK Comedy Lab, but that was at least in the same location, but we weren't going regular. And then it wasn't until the following February in 1991 that we came up, that we started with Fun with Science and doing the theater sports regularly. So we're at about another, oh, look at Dano.
That was a response to comments.
Sing a little song. Dano, do you have a little number you wanted to sing?
We should improvise a song together right now.
Someone said, I remember Dano playing his ukulele, and I happen to have one right here, so I picked it up.
Oh, very good. Yes. Well, I'm sure we'll have to get a little song in here in a little bit. All right. So here's it gets a little tricky in terms of the navigation of this thing, because we're about to move into what we call the kind of the heyday of the early years of the SAK Comedy Lab. This is takes us to about 1996. And I have one more guest that is going to be with us in that, but we can only fit 6 people on the screen. StreamYard has all these cool things where we can do, share screen and have the comments and stuff come up, but we can only have 6 people at a time in here. So here's what we're going to do for this. We're going to do this in kind of shifts. We're going to actually,
the night shift. We're
going to attack it and say yes to it, to the challenge here. So here's what we're going to do. Everybody's going to take a timeout. Everybody will take about a 5-minute timeout. When it's your turn for the timeout, you are going to get a suggestion from our commenters, and you are going to go in your timeout and write. Rick, I hope we're losing Will. So Claire, you're on your own. So Phil, I need to hear from the comments. And John, I don't know if you can anybody tell me in the comments there, who's the first one to go out? I'm going to bring one more in. So it's going to be one of these folks to go out. So let us know. And we also, what are you volunteering?
Yeah.
You volunteering?
I gotta go, man.
You have to come back in 5 minutes. So the idea here is that we're going to need one suggestion from people. So we're not going to really let people vote. It's just like somebody chime in with a comment and give me a name. The first name that we see here. Morgan's watching the stream here. The first name that we see. And then we also need one random word that person is going to also make their limerick about, and I'll try to keep the timer. So do we ready and go? So somebody said, love your dog, Will and Claire. So that means Claire, you've been picked. That's the first one. I don't know if it was for that specific reason. Now we just need a random word. Somebody put a random word up there. And so did anybody give us a random word? And somebody says Dave is out first.
Wine.
Oh dear. I guess I hadn't thought about that. I'm not going to be the first one out, but if you must, I'll take it. So window. Claire, your keyword is window.
I have like an hour to write it.
No, it's going to be about 5 or 6 minutes. I'm going to time it about 5 minutes, and then we'll see if we can make the switch. So first of all, I got to get ready for the other person to come on. We're going to release you, Claire, and bring in one more person very important to this fold. His name is Jonathan Mangum. Let's bring Jonathan Mangum on. Hello.
Hey. You guys hear me?
Yes.
I can only hear I can't hear myself.
Okay, all right. Enough.
If someone can read my lips and then type what I'm saying, so I know.
All right, Jonathan. Now we hope. I hope you're just joking because we can hear you.
Now I only hear Claire.
So Claire,
I don't think you should have been kicked out first either. Where is everybody?
That's all right. Settle down, my friend. So Jonathan, we want to compliment. It's a very beautiful. Is that your house in your background there? Yeah. We love your house.
My house. See, you got a fireplace.
It's now that it zooms out, we can see the piano back there. Wayne has a piano too. Wonderful. Would you? Dano's got his ukulele. Do you want to play a little something on your piano?
Play some on the piano,
if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is internet quality entertainment, folks.
Okay. All right. So I guess Jonathan, you might want to go on me. Sorry about that. Bring it.
Bring
All
Claire
right.
back, hurry.
Let's just check in on Claire. It's not her timeout's not done yet, but let's just see how Claire is. Oh.
My husband's
Back to
pelvis.
Jonathan.
My husband's
Apparently
pelvis.
that's, so sorry about that, Jonathan. And God forbid, I just Wayne, is your background real?
Yes, but
It is.
move location so that you can see. But
Wow.
Oh, very nice. Oh, look at the little dog.
Oh, puppy.
Careful,
Wow.
Wayne, you almost stepped in.
it's a green screen dog.
That's
That-
a green screen dog.
That
Oh
is
my
the best green
gosh.
screen I've ever seen. Wow.
Aw.
So, Jonathan, we just got you into our mix. Now, we stole you from somewhere else. I'm going to have you tell that origin story of you, how we got you to work.
Was he in high school too? Another high schooler?
No, you were an adult at this time. You were actually a college graduate.
I was in college. No, I hadn't graduated. I was going to UCF in Valencia.
We found you from down the street, basically. Tell us the story.
So Comedy Sports was right down the street, upstairs in a Pizza Hut, I think. Is that where you guys saw me, or was it a different place?
No, it was there.
Pizza Hut.
Yeah, it was upstairs in a Pizza Hut. My friend James Newport, who eventually came over to you guys, and Ryan Howard ran this Comedy Sports show, and it was fun. It was a small house, but we doing short form, fun improv comedy. I remember you guys came over and saw a show, and afterwards you were like, hey, Jonathan,
Wait,
let me make an impression of you, please. Hey.
Beef.
Hey, John, you're gonna come do some. Hey. I didn't know what that meant, so I got a letter in the mail a couple weeks later from you that then explained that you meant you want to come do some theater sports.
It was
Did
just
I
to
have-
overcome a copyright.
Did I have hey in the letter?
Hey. I think it was Joel. I think Joel and Wayne were there too, right? And Matt, were you there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, Joel and Wayne came and saw
I
him.
remember going, and I remember discussing everybody afterwards and being disgusted by you and thought you would be perfect for us. But my
Remember,
first,
Joel, he was doing that bit where he walks through his green screen.
yeah,
It was the blue screen in the 90s.
Yeah, in the 90s.
It still works. But I remember when Jonathan came and did his first show at the lab, and we had gotten the suggestion of Amway. Which was some sort of pyramid scheme where you sell stuff. And so we're doing a scene about a salesman, and Jonathan kept coming in and he kept making all these train references and trying to put us on a train. And he thought the suggestion was Amtrak.
Yes.
And I think it just I remember it in the end, it's like the whole thing crashed and was destroyed. And
Actually, I just thought Amway was the train. I didn't
Right.
hear
Oh, right.
Amway, yeah. Amway, the train.
That's right.
All
That's right. Because I remember afterward talking, it was like, going, why were you doing all the train stuff? Amway. The suggestion was Amway.
Very good. So Claire's just got about 30 seconds left on her timeout. So give me a name. Who's going to be the next one out? And we also need a suggestion, a one-word suggestion.
Josh Flom, I was there. Josh Flom was there.
Josh Flom was there. I believe that Claire. Claire had window, I think was Claire's key word there. So Morgan,
Look at all these friendly
what do you
names
see
over
on
in
there?
the chat
We need
right now.
a name for the next one in the timeout, and then also we're going to
Joel.
get the. So Joel's name has come up. So Joel's, when Claire comes back, Joel's going to come out. We need that word, random word for Joel. We might just.
And what am I doing?
You're going to do right
Amway.
when you're out, and so it's time. Did you get a word?
Amway.
It's Amway, Joel. Amway.
Oh,
Suggested for your limerick. So, all right.
Amway Joel,
So,
wasn't that your blues
so
name for
go
a while?
ahead, and when you're ready, John, you can take Joel out and bring Claire back in. Welcome back, Claire. Hello,
Hi,
Claire. How
guys.
did it go? Yes.
Aw.
Hope you had a fun time.
I did. I missed you guys, though.
What'd you do, Claire?
We miss you. So Joel is out now. He's going to write a limerick that is about Amway. So let's talk a little bit more about the early heydays of SAK doing theater sports. Who's got something they want to share, a kind of a story or something? Anybody have anything about? Since Joel's not in the room, anybody have any Joel stories?
Next.
One.
I'm trying to think of one that's clean.
Oh, all right. Yeah, maybe we don't have to worry about that.
I remember one of my fondest memories is wig shopping for Joel for the Nurse Schmidt. I mean, I know that's timeline different, but I think it took us 5 days to find the right wig for him.
And then I think he wound up just borrowing one from his mother.
Yeah. After all that. Well, let's talk about what are some of your. I'll get to just. You guys can be thinking about some of the fond memories of the theater, sports, and the shows. So think about those. Anything you can share about anyone. But Dano, I saw your finger hand up. What you got?
Since you were asking about Joel, and since he's out of the room.
Yes.
I had a theory that you could always gauge the quality of any particular improv scene by the volume of Joel's voice. Joel had the capacity to be louder than any 6 other people. And the worse the scene was, the louder his voice would get. So it was always a handy gauge. You could you didn't have to pay attention to the audience. You could just pay attention to Joel.
Right. And I think that was one of his characters' names, Handy Gauge. Wayne, what you got there?
I have a memory of Joel and Claire and myself representing Orlando in the World Cup of improv. We in Los Angeles, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and in fact, I think that Claire didn't we go twice? It was you and I and Joel in LA, and then you and I in Calgary.
No, we went to Edmonton.
Yes, yeah, that's what I mean.
It was your first flight. Remember
That's right.
Ever?
Yes, and you puked the whole way on me. No, you didn't. You didn't throw up. But yeah, we did Edmonton, and then the 3 of us did LA.
Yeah, and Edmonton was awesome. But I have to say, like being thrown into a tournament and all these different teams from around the world and the country. But then the one in Los Angeles, when it was Joel, you, and myself, that was a paradigm changing moment because all of these other people that do the same thing you do, a bunch of weirdo improvisers running around, and I think the show was there was one at Griffith Park Observatory.
The Barnsdall.
Yeah, the Barnsdall.
Yeah.
And it was like an improv rock concert.
Yeah.
And we killed it.
Yeah.
We absolutely killed it. And I want to say the one in Calgary.
Which was in Edmonton.
Yeah. They won in Manitoba. We won that, and it was the best feeling ever to be doing a competitive improv like that with you and Joel. That was ridiculous.
Well, and part of the thing that Gary Roman was saying earlier, it was we were bringing Orlando. I mean, we were saying to the world stage in a way, in terms of comedy, because we had all these extremely talented people being an industry town with all the theme parks and all that stuff, and all of us doing all that work. That it just really felt like because at that point I was the artistic director of SAK, and it just felt like such an accomplishment. It's like, well, we go to LA and we placed. We go to
nice.
Calgary, we win it. It felt really good. It really at that point was really feeling like we had done something, and that.
Well, we always said at SAK Theater, winning is everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I would like to let you guys know, and also let the people. So the people who are here and performing at SAK now, so they heard that even in those early years, we were going to festivals and doing really well, and they're still going to festivals. Just so you guys know, even to this.
Are they winning?
They're winning. They're going to festivals and they're still winning these improv competitions. So that's great. One of the long-lasting signatures of SAK. Joel's just got about 15 seconds left in his timeout. So who is going to be the next person out? And then Joel will come back in, and we're also going to need that word, that random word. So we'll be watching the stream there, and we'll bring somebody up. So Brendan Miller says, "Nice."
Hey, Joel's not there.
Very
I saw
good.
Dano, I saw.
So Dano, that's the first one Morgan saw or just made up. So you're going to be our timeout person next, and we need one word. We need a word for Dano to go out on. So Morgan, let me know when you get that. By the way, for those of you watching our stream, we're not going to be done at 9 o'clock tonight. We're going to be going a little later, and I hope all our guys will be with us. Not too much later, but we're going to go overtime. You got a word?
Duct tape.
Duct tape. All right, so Dano, your limerick is going to be about duct tape, and let's go ahead and sorry, so we'll bring Joel back in, and Will's got his hand raised, so Will, you can take the floor and we'll bring Joel back in. Hi, Joel, welcome back. Will's got the floor.
Hi.
Well, I actually didn't have my hand raised. I was again.
Oh no!
But I do want to just remind everybody about Scouts in Action, which was one of my favorite plays that we did at the lab, even though it was probably one of the weirdest plays ever mounted in the history of comedy. But I'd like Joel to talk a little bit about his Joey Ramone character and specifically the third leg.
All right, talk about that, Joel.
Only if
Sure.
Watching.
So I played was he a private detective, and he had 3 legs. And throughout the show, we did it different ways. Once I had on a cape, and there was like a cane with a leg, and so you can kind of see that. Another time, I had pants with a extra foot strapped to it. But in the second act, at some point, I came out, and we literally built pants that had 3 legs, and then took a unicycle seat, which was so uncomfortable, and strapped it. I had a harness, and we strapped it to me, and I had to wear a cup, because the first time I tried it out, I didn't wear a cup, and that was regretful. But yeah, we worked it out so I could actually walk, and I would thrust my hips forward, and that leg would kick out, and then the other 2 legs would swing. And so I remember doing a walk across the stage. But my favorite thing was at the end when we all, spoiler alert, but it was 90 years ago, so too late. But at the end, when all the characters died and we all got shot, and I had all these blood packs that splattered all over myself, and I couldn't lay down on the ground. So I just went up against the wall, and I had on this black suit, and with the third leg and my arms out, and that's how I died, was flat against the wall. And I just remember Dano one time laughing, and I was like, "What's so funny?" Afterwards, and he said, "Well, I looked over, and you were just a giant asterisk on the wall." And
very nice.
So again, perfect SAK history.
Work that into your
perfect SAK history.
Yeah.
The reason why everybody died at the end of Foam of Science is because Dano and Claire couldn't really come up with an ending of the play.
All right.
And we were rehearsing it. I mean, like we were rehearsing it without an end. I mean, we were rehearsing it without even a play for a while, and then we didn't have an end. So like we're opening it like in 3 like a week or something like that. So I just decided we'll just kill everybody, because he comes in with a gun, and that's when we enlisted Ben Rock to come and make all the squibs and all the blood special effects that we used.
Ben Rock, who worked on Blair Witch Project.
We used a pellet gun.
So he'll make
pellets. We shot everybody with pellets and the set. But my favorite moment of that was like, because it was all these laughs. The crowd was into his laughs, and then and Dano, and like everything is resolved, and Dano's holding this automatic weapon as we're trying to stop. They were trying to stop him from murdering everybody, and it's all resolved, and he goes, "Oh, I just can't tell you." And he takes his arm like this, and he squeezes the trigger, and he goes brrrr, across the whole thing, and everybody dies. And so there's laugh, and then the crowd goes, and then it would black out, and then immediately everybody would jump up and say, "We're okay! Yes, we're okay! We're okay!"
But there's so many stories. I'm afraid we're not going to get to all the stories. I saw someone even in the comments, Steve Pernick had said, "Tell us about the bug catch story." I don't know if we'll get to that, Joel. But and I'm sorry I started the whole thing with the musicians, but I have someone else on the line. Hello, can you say hello?
Oh my gosh, hello, you beautiful people.
You guys recognize that voice? Yes. This is Bill Larkin.
Wow.
Now, Bill,
Yes, sir.
you go ahead, Bill. What were you going to say?
I was going to say, I'm here in Chicago, and I'm drinking red wine, and I'm choking up at this entire display. This is the most lovely thing in the world.
Oh, very nice guy words. Now, Bill was with us in the early days, but also, and we'll talk a little bit more about it just in transition as we kind of, several of us migrated out to California. Bill kind of came out, and he was a musician with us. And so we all know Bill from many iterations.
Bill didn't kind of come out. He literally drove across the country with us in our caravan.
Yeah.
Did I say kind of? Oh, I don't know.
He literally did it.
I'm very sorry, Bill. I kind of didn't mean that. Bill, I do want to give you a shout out because, we've been doing these live streams and trying to sell tickets for money and just have fun. We'd love for people to know about all kinds of things. But Bill from Chicago, he actually did a live stream and I believe raised money for SAK's benefit. So thank you so much for that, Bill. That was very kind of you. Bill was just in town here. Oh, I see that's the alarm. So we're got to give me another name. Who else is going to go out into the soundproof room next? But Bill was here during Fringe. Bill had a show. Did you have a fun time at your Fringe show, Bill?
I had an absolute blast, and it was so great to see you and Morgan and Anita, and it was like Steve Pernick. It was
so such a great show. It was such an amazing show, Bill. It was amazing.
All right.
Bill was part of the sketch show that Steve Pernick and Dano put on, Trendy Britches.
Yeah.
I remember him being a very funny just performer in that. Even when he did bits without music. It was one with a map with the Dakotas that
that's another one where it's like we could have a whole show about all the different shows and trendy bridges and the like. Did we see a name? Did somebody come up with a name on there for the next one out? And I saw Toast on there, so I see that first. So that's actually going to be the whoever goes out is going to have it. But I didn't see a name, so we have to play. Jonathan can go out, and Wayne and Matt are the three left to take a turn out. So go ahead and throw up one of those names, or I'll just pick one if one doesn't come up in the next little bit. Very good. So thank you very much, Bill. You can enjoy the rest of the stream, and we'll talk to you later. Very nice. Oops, I just cut him off as he was saying. I kind of cut him off.
Can we just vote to keep Dano out twice? Because I'm good for that. You guys are.
We'll give him another word. Yeah. All right, Jonathan, that was very funny. So we're going to send you out. Jonathan's next to go out because I didn't see a name come up there. And again, your word is toast. You are toast, Jonathan. Welcome back, Dano. Did you have a nice time?
I had a great time. Hey, can I invite everybody to do a Bill Larkin sing-along?
A Bill Larkin sing-along? Yes.
See if you can remember the verse. It goes, "Oh, why does my grandpa go?" Oh, yeah. Oh, Joel remembers all of it.
Joel remembers the whole song.
15 minutes.
Very good. All right. So as we continue on, while this next person, while Jonathan is in there, I want to try to get the conversation. Fond memories of theater sports times. This is up for anybody. And also, if we can, there's so many other people. There's so many shout outs in SAK, and I know we can't get to all the SAKs. We're going to have to do another episode where we shout out to all the people who were with us at Disney. But some shout outs to the folks. We've already named a couple of people who were in these early heydays of the SAK Comedy Lab who aren't with us here, but we also we already mentioned Emily Lester, Anthony. We mentioned Justine Reese. So go ahead and call out a name or two.
Lisa Curtis.
Lisa Curtis as well. Yeah, we mentioned her as being in that show Loot. So
Michael C. Rayner, MC extraordinaire.
Rick T2.
Yeah, Rainer.
Yeah.
Mike Rayner.
Ron Ross.
Aaron Short.
Ron Ross. Yes, indeed. Very good.
Aaron Short.
Aaron D. Baker was, very good. All right. All right. So let's tell some stories. Who's got fun? Mike and Maura. Both Mike and Maura. Yeah. Yes, Mr. Wayne, what you got?
After one of the, I think it was after one of either the World Cups or a Fringe, a big party that we had. No, it must have been a World Cup because all of the foreign teams were there, and that was the first time that we got a chance to work with Kevin Smith, and God bless him, and just remember meeting him that for that time, and what an amazing vibe that was, and D doing one of his dances that night. Yeah, that was the first time that I'd seen D turn into the raptor or just do the whole weird crazy body thing when he was dancing and lost his mind.
That was after one of our own theater sports tournaments.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
It brought Lionel to us.
Wayne, that makes me think of a character of yours that I have always loved in my memory, although I don't really remember what happened.
Which one?
I just remember a character named Captain Cannon Crotch.
What?
I remember that.
I'm pretty sure there was a physical motion that went along with it.
I remember that.
Captain Cannon Crotch?
Yeah, I remember it very well. It was a prop, and it was the top of like a cafeteria chair, and that had been split in two, and so it had these two cannons, and somehow you ended up in a freeze tag with it between your legs sticking out. And you just announced, "I am Captain Cannon Crotch," and you turned it with like hip thrust, and we all died on stage, and then we blacked out.
Oh my God, you're right. Yes,
I remember it so well.
All right, we just got about 2 minutes left in Jonathan's time in there. You guys just put the name in now for the next person, because I had to wait too long for our last time. I had to make it up myself, and we're going to take a random suggestion. So, Wayne, you're about to continue on something?
Captain Cannon Crotch, for some reason, just made me think, and I'm having a senior citizen moment. Mike, hey, Jonathan. Is Jonathan out? Mike O'Keefe. Yeah. Mike O'Keefe. In an improv scene at one point, picking me up and body slamming me during it. We're like, "I will destroy you," just out of the blue. And I remember just being so afraid of him physically for a while that every time that he answered a scene, we would try to kill him, and so that you wouldn't get hurt. And I would tell him before the show, I said, "Don't touch me, don't hurt me."
And Mike O'Keefe is actually improv. Mike O'Keefe is up in New Jersey now, and he's doing great things with him. He's got the company and doing some great stuff. Who started talking there? I'm going to put you on. Was that you? Who started talking?
You're still smoking, Dan?
I was saying the same thing you were saying about Mike O'Keefe, who the reason why he was body slamming you was because you were nudging him out of what he thought was his space in the theater.
He did a lot of man spreading.
He did. He was in
his territory. Matt, you were about to say something.
I was going to say, speaking of getting hurt on stage, one of my most prominent memories of the early theater sports days, we did a mutiny on the Love Boat scene. This may be taking people down memory lane. And we ended the scene. I was Captain Stubing, and I was taken out. I had died on stage, and then the blackout came. And I started to get up in the blackout, and I felt my head collide with somebody else in the blackout. I thought I had hurt somebody's nose really badly. But I seemed to be okay. Nobody else seemed to be having any kind of issues or problems. We worked our way back to the sides where we sat. And then as the referee was getting back up on stage, somebody in the front row, I think it was Rob Thurmond actually, pointed to the stage and he goes, "There's blood on the stage." And I looked down, and sure enough, there was a trail of blood leading back to my chair. And I kind of put my hand on my head and looked, and I had blood all over my hand. And I looked over at Wayne, and Wayne was kind of going. Wayne had sunk his chompers right into my skull, and I had to leave the show and go get stitches that night. So, but I healed up nicely. I'm totally fine, and I mostly have my cognitive function back, but
that's a real honor,
okay.
Matt, to have been bitten by Wayne Brady.
I know.
Probably sold your scalp for a pretty penny.
I'm a were-Wayne now, I guess.
All right, we are about to bring Jonathan back because his time is up. Oh, sorry if I was talking over someone. Jonathan's going to come back, but the name that I saw on the list is Morgan. Want to send Morgan out for a limerick, and
I'm taking you with me.
I'm going to have to go with you. You can somebody give more. Let's see. What do you got there?
Pernick. Bring in Steve
eggs. I saw eggs.
Eggs. Okay.
Eggs. So eggs is what her problem is. So unfortunately, that means I'm out too. So you guys are on your own for at least 5 minutes. And John, I'll probably just wave when the timer's up so that you can hopefully bring us back in.
Oh, a little cuddle time for the Russells.
Hi, Jonathan.
Jonathan, you're on. You're on. Jonathan.
He's Jonathan Langer.
Sorry.
You're looking out the window?
I was. Beautiful day here.
One thing I was struck by in those early days is just like when we started doing 3 shows a night on Fridays and Saturdays, like the kind of madness that would create.
Yeah.
Like those shows just bled into each other. And I remember many an 11:30 show where one of us would do a callback to an earlier scene. And it's like, no, that wasn't this show. That was the 7:30 show.
The 7:30 show was good. The 9:30 show was always great. And then the 11:30 show was like, We were so tired, and the audience, like, it was always a tough one to pull off.
Yeah, it could go any way. Yeah.
I remember the 11:30 shows would get weird.
Yeah.
We would just, like where our brains were, because we're so tired that we would just get into weird stuff. And so it started attracting a certain audience. And so they liked the weird stuff. And
that's what I was about to say. The 11:30, sometimes the 11:30 crowds were bigger than the 9:30, back even when we were selling out. Cause that was back in the day, we were selling out 7:30, 9:30, and 11:30 consistent.
Wait, Will.
And I try to explain to people.
And 11:30 is bigger than 9:30.
No, I was saying that there were times when the 11:30 crowd was bigger. 9:30 was usually our consistently sold out.
You guys were losing the crowd.
I think Will's math is off.
Hey, Will, I have a question for you. How many seats were in the original SAK Theater, and what was the record for the number of people we got in there?
Well, we had, I think, about 120 seats that we squeezed in there in that place, but I'm sure that we would have close to 200 sometimes sitting on the floor.
There were certain shows too where we would have people sitting so close to the stage that Dave Russell would wind up doing his scenes in the rafters above the stage.
Yeah.
Speaking of the stage, I remember when we were doing Trendy Britches, Matt and I were doing a sketch called something Olympics, and one of the bits was we would get into trash cans filled with water.
That's right.
And we'd throw clothes in, and we jump up and down like the agitator in a washing machine.
Oh, yeah.
And then we put the wet clothes on and spin like the dryer. It was like some kind of weird, like, Olympic thing. But the water ruined the stage, and the boards peeled. And Will had to rebuild the whole stage. He was not happy about that.
Bizarrely, after you ruined the stage, we decided to bring that sketch back for the Greatest Hits show.
Oh, yeah.
And ruin the stage again.
Yes. We ruined the stage long before that.
Yeah.
And that was without any water.
I almost died making that stage the first time. It was when we were building out the theater. It was like 4:00 in the morning. I was the only one there. It was a tidal law. It was an office. So there were all these raceways that went under the concrete that had, the coax cables and the power cables and stuff like that. And so I was tracking this one, and I was pulling all this cable out so we could run our snake for the audio. And I was pulling these cables out, and it was supposed to, because I looked at it, it's like, well, that's all just, it looks like coax to me. But it was 4:00 in the morning. I was most likely intoxicated. And I'm pulling the cables, and all of a sudden, I just remember a big, gigantic flash. And it was about 4:00 in the morning. And then around 9:00, Terry comes into the theater and wakes me up. And I have burns on my hands.
Oh.
And George Burns.
And apparently it was a 220 vote line that was running through there.
That's a true story.
That's a
Didn't you wrap your hands? Didn't you wrap your fingers to take care of the burns? And so for like a few days, you had like those Michael Jackson tape.
I had Michael Jackson.
They all thought Will was so good.
Yeah, for a very long time. Though that was also from reaching in the pouch, hanging drywall. Reach, because I had to. We were still hanging drywall, and I had to reach in the pouch and get the drywall screws. And then it's like every time it'd be pointing into your finger, and I already had 3rd-degree burns on my fingers.
If Dano had just talked one day.
No, he did. He got one day. Listen, let me tell you something. One afternoon, we had a call to come into work at 9:00 or whatever. Dano showed up around noon, and he had overalls on.
What? That was when I was
and an Oxford shirt. TV. I will say, an Oxford shirt under overalls, and he tried to put in 3 or 4 drywall screws, but he couldn't hit the stud, and decided it was lunchtime. You don't remember the overall?
First of all, if anybody can hit the stud. Second of all, you've already acknowledged that you were in an alcoholic stupor. How can you remember these details?
That was just that one night. That was the only time I ever drank.
Hey, oh, my time was up with Morgan, and so we're back. And so Matt we've automatically sent Matt to the room, but we got to get Matt a word. So Morgan, check there. And Matt, I know you're already off, but we're going to find a random word. So somebody put a random word in this chat here in the comments, and we'll get that out to Matt. Lunch. So Matt, give us a nod if you heard lunch. I believe he's heard that. Matt is good to go, and that's lunch. Very good. And that's lunch. All right. So continuing on with wonderful stories. I had a nice little break there. So let me read this from Sean. This all makes me so damn happy to be part of this family. It's just so incredible to hear all of this happen. I can't wait to get back on that stage. That's great.
We can all read that, Dave. We all see that. You don't have to read it.
I don't know how technology is.
Is there a point in the show where we do get to say with all reality, like how much all these people, how much we mean to each other, but also how incredibly meaningful it is that this continues? I mean, we've got our silly beginnings, but it's way more impressive to me that there are grown-ups who have continued this for 30 years. And I'm proud of all of you.
Yeah.
And
You know what's so cool about that is that the people all through the years have continued the same energy that we started with, the same kind of love for comedy, the same love for each other, the same love for the audience.
I just keep thinking this residual check is going to be amazing.
Yeah, we're going to be so rich.
I know.
The improv stimulus. Can't wait.
Well, you know what? I'll jump in and join Claire in being sentimental for a minute.
All right.
Because just like Matt Young was saying, how exciting it was for him to come and see those early improv shows as a young dude and want to come do them. When I was a young dude that age, I was at the Kansas City Renaissance Festival seeing those SAK Theater street theater shows and Terry Olson and Herbie Hansen and those guys and thinking, oh my gosh, I've never seen anything as funny as these weirdos in tights in the filthy muck of the fields of the Renaissance Festival. And I thought,
that's done.
That's for me. That's for me. So I did my Big Bear show, I did my Epcot shows, and then we got to write Fun with Science. It's just what is life but a river?
That's how we should have ended the.
I'm sorry, I'll say it again later.
Was that your limerick? Did you just do your limerick?
Yes, bravo.
Bravo indeed. All right, so
also,
Matt has just a couple of more minutes, and I just want to check with you. But I think everybody's been out, but Wayne, right? Wayne is the last one. Joel, you've been out, right?
Yes, sir.
Very good. So when Matt comes back, it's going to be in about 1 minute, and then Wayne is going to go out. So go ahead and start putting in a couple of random words for Wayne to use.
The Silly Club.
Somebody mentioned the Silly Club. Is that somebody who's
good memories.
from? So I want to take a moment. I'm going to have a chance for all of you guys to let people know. I'm sure they all know kind of the things you're doing, but just in case, I want everybody to be able to call out what you're doing so we know from you guys. But also there's so many other people who have really gone on to do all kinds of wonderful things in front of the camera, behind the camera. So let's us kind of toss out some of those names and the wonderful things that are going on. So just a quick little sentence or two about people, if you guys can remember who came out of the SAK fold here that has gone on, and we see them doing wonderful things. I see actually Lauren Pritchard. I'm going to start with Lauren Pritchard because Lauren, I've seen her in the comment section here, but gone on to do so many wonderful things. And yes, it's a nice applause for Lauren. But what are some of those other people, or you can even extol, some of you have worked with some of these people in this or that. So if that comes up too, let us know who's doing what in the world.
D. Bradley Baker, voiceover king.
Yeah.
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 Now, Eric Schur, sitcom comedy writer.
Hold on. Yes, hold on. We're gonna, you guys, we're gonna have to. Everybody's talking at the same time here. So I heard Paula Pell. So talk about Paula Pell. Yeah.
At the same time?
No, one at a time.
Everybody at once. Go.
Oh my God! Paula Pell, great producer director. You got onto the Saturday Night Live writing pool. Who else? So we talked about Lauren Paula Pell.
One quick fun fact: Paula Pell designed the T-shirt for this SAK Theater improv festival tournament that we did back that was referenced earlier. Yeah, she designed it.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I did not remember that.
Very nice.
Also, Paula Pell, the very first sketch that she ever wrote and we wrote together for Trendy Britches, and it was filthy, and I'm embarrassed of it now. But she went on to make a career herself.
Yeah, well, it's on Saturday Night Live.
Yeah, it worked. What are some other names? Who are some other names?
Rick T2 went on to do other things.
He's working at Universal as a wizard.
That's what I'm talking about.
The wizarding world. Yes, indeed. All right, more names, and we're apologizing in advance for those of you we're forgetting, because so many people have done so many awesome and wonderful things. Who else is in that mix? To see if anybody in the
Mike Rayner. He's wild now. He's
Yeah,
like,
TikTok. He's
TikTok. He's
a
a TikTok some bitch.
Yeah,
TikTok.
our friend Mike Rayner, he had this crazy little gag that he would do. He would have one of those paper umbrellas, a life-size paper umbrella, and he would spin it. He would spin a McDonald's cheeseburger on it. And this was years ago. He was on David Letterman's Stupid Human Tricks, probably about 10 or 20 years ago. And now he's published a TikTok of it. So he's got like 1 million views on TikTok. So way to go, Michael Rayner. And Maura Quirk as well, who's married to Mike Rayner, but she was on a lot of Nickelodeon shows, and she's still doing stuff out in LA as well. So it's time. We're going to bring Matt back in. Wayne, your word is, did we get a word for Wayne? A word for Wayne? Yeah, just pick.
Sneeze.
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 I think she might have just made that up.
No,
So,
I saw it.
oh, she saw it. So Wayne's off to build a limerick on sneeze. Matt, we are just extolling the virtues of people who are not with us in this fold right now, who have gone on to do wonderful things. Paula Pell, Lauren Pritchard. Any names come to mind for you?
Yeah, absolutely. When I first came to town in Los Angeles, I got a job early on working at Knott's Berry Farm in the entertainment department with doing scout characters with my friend Aaron Shore, who went on to have quite a great television writing and producing career. Yep, there you go. Chuck Snyder can vouch for that. But yeah,
And Chuck Snyder.
Chuck Snyder himself,
Yes.
writing, etc. And somebody had mentioned Cullen Douglas in the comments. Cullen is, he's got something right now. He's got a show premiering or airing
Working on Amazon.
right now. Very good. Yeah.
I should mention also Josh Flaum, our friend Josh, was very cool. He was helping produce a virtual reality improv show. So you wore the helmet and you were a character and you were acting in a virtual. It was I've never seen anything like it.
Cool.
Yeah,
very cool.
That is amazing. I saw somebody also had said Lisa Fredrickson doing TV stuff out there in LA, and there was another one. If I got to go back through the comments there was another one came up on the comment stream, but I've lost it already. So more stories. We're kind of running out of time. When Wayne comes back, we're going to do the limericks, and then we're going to have to extend this another time if we can or what. But more fun stories, fun wacky things that have happened on the stage at the SAK Comedy Lab over the years.
There really wasn't that much that was funny that I
I can't really remember anything. Yeah,
a lot of fads.
We all said Paula Pell a bunch of times.
Oh, Paula.
What the hell, Pell? Very good.
My favorite thing was always that our best shows, whether they were improvised or the plays, were when something went wrong. And 100%. We all came together to take that wrong thing and make it wronger and wronger and wronger until it was right. And I feel like that's what we've done with all of our lives.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Wronger and wronger.
I love after the show. I used to love to hang after the show. We'd go over to like the Go Lounge over there, not there anymore, or Yab Yum, and just drink beers for a couple hours after all the shows and just talk about. That was really fun too.
Yeah. Miami Subs. We would go to Miami Subs when we wanted something to eat.
Yeah.
And drink as well.
It was always a struggle to find something that was going to be open that we hadn't been to a million times.
Yeah.
So
what was that weird place with all the animals?
Jungle Gym.
Commercial for it.
We did a commercial for it. It's a
that's right.
Yeah.
Jungle Gym.
The worst makeup ever. It was just like horrible makeup and bad. Oh man.
Yep.
Remember, was it worse than Skipper Billy?
Who was
No one knows what you're talking about.
Oh, sorry. That was yeah. I was on the Jaws queue line as Skipper Billy, my friends.
Oh.
Yeah.
Didn't realize the character had a name.
and a backstory, Matt. I mean, I developed the whole thing. I was ready for it to go to series, but it never did. Yes. So we got just about 30 seconds to bring Wayne back. So we're going to have to kind of get things wrapped up. But one question I asked the founders of SAK Theater 40 years ago, and this is a 30-year history for these guys. Next year is going to be the 30th anniversary of SAK. Did you guys imagine that it would still be going today?
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thought so.
We did leave those instructions.
Yeah. I don't think we actually thought that far ahead. It was just getting the show open and doing the show that night. That was really it. We weren't really, at least I wasn't thinking about, and also just keeping the doors open, keeping everybody paid. That was really just my primary thing. So it was just, it was in the moment running that thing anyway. It was kind of an improv. It's like I remember when we decided to start doing expanding our classes and we needed more room. I broke into the second floor of that building and said, "Hey, what about here?" and then Terry, being Terry, as great as he is, goes talk to the landlord to see if we could legally get the second floor for like $1 a week, something like that. And then that's where our offices ended up being, and that's where we started writing out classes and playing ping pong. And yeah, that was the joint. That was the joint. That was the other
joint.
And
Chris Elliott is here.
Jonathan and Joel shared an office.
That's Terry Olsen.
I'm sorry, that was Chris Elliott. I didn't remember working with Chris Elliott.
Sorry.
Nice work
And
with
Will, you were saying about people sharing offices. What were you saying about the offices?
Matt and Joel and Jonathan shared an office, and
No, me and Matt did.
Just Jonathan and I.
I shared an office with your wife, if you know what I mean.
All right, so we're gonna. It's time to get Wayne back. So we're gonna start reading off these limericks, and then you're gonna go to the green room while we get through them all. But everybody, stick around because we're gonna do one little final goodbye with you all. I'll take myself off again, and after Morgan and I say goodbye, and then you all can say a quick little goodbye, and we'll come back on. So, who wants to go first? Matt, would you read yours first?
Sure.
All right.
My word for my limerick was lunch.
Okay.
Lunch.
Yes. Go ahead.
There once was a man who ate lunch. He enjoyed it and liked it a bunch. He gobbled some potatoes and smelled red tomatoes. One time, Mike O'Keefe farted loudly on stage and blamed it on Jonathan.
Love it. All right. So we're gonna don't go away, Matt. We're just gonna bring Wayne in that place, and then Jonathan, why don't you go ahead and read yours?
My suggestion was toast.
Yes.
There once was a man from Nantucket.
Wait, Jonathan?
Who found some white bread in a bucket. He cooked it too long. Burnt bread is so wrong. Broke his teeth, so the man had to suck it.
All right, very good, very good. Yes, that's great.
Can I do mine because mine's dedicated to Jonathan?
All right, go ahead, Morgan.
This is for you, Jonathan. Mm-hmm. There once was a chicken with legs. Oh, my word was eggs. There once was a chicken with legs who drank the keg to the dregs. I can't read my writing. Wait, no. She went for a spin on her feet of hen and laid the carpet and the eggs.
Oh.
That's in honor of John. Laid both the carpet and the eggs.
Yes.
I like it.
And let's see. Let's go over to Dano. Have you read yours yet?
No, I'll go. My word was duct tape, and I'm not a poet, and I'm sorry to say I wasn't completely familiar with the traditional structure of the limerick. But mine goes like this.
Okay.
Although it may be necessary to give attention to external experience, the quality of the artistic creation will depend in part upon its capacity to make us draw on that experience. In Waiting at the Church, the emphasis is placed entirely on the last-minute loss of a husband-to-be, and it is upon this frustration that the song depends. The song's treatment of this frustration is comic. Attention is set up with the non-comic implications that we bring to the song. That's just the first part. Do you want to hear that?
No, that was right on. That was right on. That really.
I think we have a winner.
Nail on the head.
I think we have our next play.
Yeah. Look at that, Dano. You are so brilliant. All right, Joel. Sorry, Jonathan.
What?
What's yours? Read yours.
Okay, my word was Amtrak. What is that old clickety-clack that is coming down the track? Jonathan, he don't know. He's the idiot of the show because he thinks it's Amway.
Yes. Yes.
Very good. All right.
Enjoy it, Mangum.
Green screen clap.
All right, Claire, how about yours? You have something about Jonathan?
A lot of wounds here being opened. Yes, I have a. What are you doing, dear?
Give me the shot.
Get my light better. Get my filter on.
Where's that lens flare?
My word was window.
Okay.
A gal stood in front of her window, and everyone thought, what a bimbo. But she wasn't that loose, though she showed her caboose. Her arms weren't fully akimbo.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Way to do it.
Arms akimbo.
An actual limerick. And I think we got one more. Wayne, what you got?
My word was sneeze.
Yes.
I got my start in O-Town as a SACtor. Then ironically in LA as a honky where I was the solo blackter. Now back together online, that's where we's at. Almost 30 years of making crap up ain't nothing to sneeze at.
Very nice. All right, so very good. So yes, it's time to kind of find an end here. So those of you in the green room, I'm going to bring everybody up for a quick little goodbye and thank you. But I am going to just share one more time on my screen here. One more as several of the folks you see on the screen here, and Matt as well, ended up moving out to LA and doing a group thing. We called ourselves the House Full of Honkies. So that will be, again, another one. But look at these young folks here looking up into this. There just happened to be a drone flying overhead. I think Benji Hilbert was working on that with the naval forces. Anyway, that's a little shot and shout out to the early days of that. I don't know what we were all looking at. Where was our photographer? Unbelievable. All right. So
photographer couldn't make it.
Couldn't make it. All right, let's get to Matt Young back. You can take out whoever you want but me. And everybody, don't leave. We're just going to say some final goodbyes. Tell us what kinds of things you guys have been working on so people know and can look for. Maybe if there's a show on TV, everybody would like to watch it. So hello, Matt. What you got working on?
I am currently a writer out here, and you'll be able to see some of my stuff in the final season of Blind Spot, which is coming up on NBC on May 7th. That's what I've been doing for the last few years.
Yay! All right, very good. And so we're going to actually kind of make the rounds and start bringing somebody up. So if everybody's still in the green room, and hopefully they'll come back. So let's take Matt off while somebody else is going on. Matt, don't leave us. And let's go over to Daniel. You live in Massachusetts right now. Do you live in Harvard?
I live in the town of Harvard, Massachusetts.
Yes.
And, basically, I moved from Orlando to Los Angeles to Harvard, Massachusetts. Show business is my life, and honestly, if you want to do it the easy way, go to Los Angeles. If you want to do it the hard way, Harvard, Massachusetts.
And Denham has become
every Thanksgiving.
Yes.
Become quite an accomplished ukulele player and teacher. He loves to do online ukulele courses. So that's actually would be a great thing to do during this time here where everybody's holed up in their house. They could get some experience playing the ukulele. So thank you. And we're going up to Joel. What you got going on?
Well, a couple of things. A few years I worked as a writer and sometimes director, producer, and recurring character on a show called Kickin' It that you can find on Disney Plus. It was on the channel, but now it's up there. So I'm glad that that's available again, where I played a great character called Bobby Wasabi. And currently I'm doing a show for BYUtv.com. Called Dwight in Shining Armor, where I play a wizard from 1,000 years ago stuck in modern times protecting his warrior princess. But it's a really fun show. It's a great show for families to watch together. And so I'm having fun doing that. I love doing that.
Wonderful. Now, Joel, is season 2 is like airing or just premiered, right? You're into season 2 now, or is it going to air soon?
No, we're into season 3. Season 1 and 2 are still streaming. Season 3, we're about halfway through season 3, and season 4 will be out in the fall. And we know that we're picked up for season 5. But that should be the final season of the plan. Yeah, it's really fun. Really fun.
Very cool. All right, Jonathan.
I do a game show every day with one other person in these squares. Let's Make a Deal, CBS every day. And then occasionally Whose Line Is It Anyway, which is really fun. And then during these quarantine, I created a show called You Jokes, which is just kind of a silly, make up a joke and the audience gets to compete in Facebook or YouTube with Josh Fahm, actually. And so that's every Tuesday and Friday at 6 p.m. Pacific. At my Facebook page, facebook.com/The Mangum, or at YouTube under the You Jokes name, capital U, K-E-S.
Very cool. And just on your last episode of that, one of our current ensemble members, Jay Hopkins, was actually on your show. So he was actually
whoever comes up with the best audience joke the week before gets to show up live on the next show. And so Jay Hopkins won. So, and actually, I believe someone else from SAK won last week. I have to check the name, but
cool.
Someone else. So watch tomorrow.
Very cool. Yay. Claire and Will, Claire, what's going on in your all's world?
Well, not to get political, but the Me Too movement has kind of inspired. I'm doing a one-woman show with Will.
Yeah.
The Fireside Theater called Arms Akimbo, about a loose woman of a certain age.
Yeah.
So that's keeping us pretty busy.
Yeah.
All right, now I'm gonna both.
We're doing a showcase of the show, so fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. I'm going to boast on Claire, an accomplished screenplay writer, several screenplays in movies you've seen at the movie theaters. And I'm sure there's work even going on now during this time. Writing can always happen. So that's great. So keep going on that, Claire. Very good. Let's move down. And Mr. Wayne, what you got going on?
I'm an understudy for Arms Akimbo. I'm hoping that I'll actually get a chance to go on, Miss Selfish.
Yeah. God bless. God bless.
God, fingers crossed.
Get your audio right, maybe.
Well, you know what? I'm trying.
Now, Wade, and in addition to the Let's Make a Deal and the touring and all that stuff that you do, a quick plug for your coaching show. Can you tell us real quick about that?
Oh yeah, sure. And in fact, tonight, I've got as soon as I hop off, we're gonna have a little screening. It's called Wayne Brady's Comedy IQ. It's on BYU TV, and you can catch it on the app. It's the same home where Joel's show is, and it's a great family show using all the skills actually that I learned at SAK and that I put into play in my adult life. And I wanted to do a talent search across the country to find a youngster who had the capability to learn certain things, and for me to teach them the skills that I've acquired and see if I could turn them into an improviser slash sketch comedian, and teaching them my own method. And it's great. We're in our third or fourth episode right now, and it's absolutely wonderful. Jonathan Mangum is actually one of our mentors and one of our writer producers, and it's a show that I produce with my producing partner, who's my ex-wife, Mandy, and we have a production company, and we're producing a show with Jerry Bruckheimer's company, JBTV, a drama that I created, and that and doing tours, and I've got a new record coming out. And so when this all dies down, I'll be going back on the road, and Jonathan and I'll be making the funny.
Very good. Yes. All right. Well, yes, that's going to keep you busy. And of course, recently revealed as the Fox on The Masked Singer. So they probably still got you doing promos on all that stuff going out. So great. Very nice. I'm so glad that you all could be here. Don't go away. I'm going to release all of you guys to the green room and bring up Gary and Terry and John Valinas to come up for a second while you guys are all waiting in the green room. Then I'm going to bring you guys all up for a big goodbye. So hang out there just a second. Hello. Hi, Terry Olson. Hi, Gary. Hanging out, and John Valinas. So, yeah, go ahead and release those two guys. Give them a little break over here. We'll bring them all back up.
Those guys? Oh, I meant to get rid of Wayne.
There you go. That's good. So I want to, again, a shout out. Now, you guys are local guys. Terry, one of the founders of SAK and helping us to find so many places. And Terry, just real quick, tell them what you do for the county here.
I like to call myself the Orange County's chief arts instigator. So I'm at this point trying to make sure that we keep our arts groups alive through this disastrous time when they've all had to close, and just looking towards the future and festivals that I produce, like Fusion Fest. What does it look like to have a festival if we all have to be wearing masks and 6 feet apart? How do you do a stage where there's more space between people than there are people? Interesting times.
Yes, very nice. All right, then.
Thank you, Terry.
Thank you, Terry, for all you do for our county and our state. In fact, yes, indeed. Gary Roman, you're in working creatively and a creative executive for a company here. Give a plug to your company.
Yeah. And what I've been doing is I worked for Walt Disney Imagineering for several years, and worked on several shows. My last one being Motors Action Stunt Show Spectacular in Paris, which was a very epic experience. And did some work for Universal Creative. I created Fear Factor Live, and worked and directed and wrote on Ollivander's wand shop for the opening of Harry Potter. And then right now I'm a creative director for a large production company. And during the time of COVID, I've been working on some new projects. I've got a short feature that I'm working on to hopefully do as soon as the ban is lifted, and working on a staged reading for a play, getting back on the boards again, and just trying to stay relevant.
Yes, indeed.
On loosely, and I have one question for you. Yeah. I was calling you on the phone earlier to get
I know.
back
I was
on
trying to pick up. I couldn't pick up. What's your question?
It was the only way I could get back in. But I did want to ask. It wouldn't be a SAK show unless you ran through the theater in your underwear. Please tell me, are we going to end with Dave Russell running through the theater in his undies? Because that was usually the 11:30 show, and we were out of material, and so it's like. Suddenly, well, there goes Dave.
My wife walked by and said, and Dave was always taking off his shirt.
Oh my gosh, those were
true.
Before this body's 60 years old. So those were the good old days. So yes, I'll have to ponder that one. Maybe in a future episode. But John, bring yourself back up again here. I want to share the stage and show you. This is John Valinas over here on the right side. He is making this happen. This and several other of our live stream shows using this interface called StreamYard. But when it gets manic with all these people, we really need somebody to make it all happen. And John, you're the man making it all happen. So thank you so much for all you do. John has a long history with SAK as well, from the early times at that Church and Court Comedy Lab. Yeah. Extended out, and he's actually, he's still working and doing tech stuff for SAK to this day. So thank you for your many years of service.
If you adjust for inflation, Dave, I am now making $35 more than what I was getting paid per week in 1994. So it's worth sticking it out.
Yep.
For all these years and
do the math.
And staying at SAK. It's
That's right. John, we want to just let people know about the upcoming shows, if we can just kind of cycle
absolutely.
through and run those here. So, ladies and gentlemen, while those are running through, thank you guys, everybody, so much for being here. Every night, every night at 7 p.m., it's check-ins with Emily, and Mondays.
Well, every night there's something happening, David. So every night,
Emily on Mondays. Yep. And then on Tuesdays, you can generally see Jose and his group here on Tuesdays. Wednesdays, it's Brett Walden with some great improv experience and advice. Thursdays, it's Happy Hour with Rob Ward, where he's making cocktails and drinking. Saturday nights, regular is Robin Kelly. So she's got a great following. Those go great. We still keep doing our telethons on Sundays at 7 o'clock. We're trying to raise $500 if we can with Chris Dinger and Emily. So that's just great. Other specialty things coming up as the time goes on. You can just go to SAK.com/live, and that'll take you directly to our SAK Comedy Lab page on Facebook, and then you can kind of scroll through. Any of the shows that you've seen and missed, you can see shows in replay form. So I want to, again, thank all the people for coming with us. If you go ahead and release Gary and Terry, and then you can bring all those guys up, you can actually release me when everybody comes up. I'll be the final one for a quick goodbye. Wait till everybody gets up, and then we'll say a quick goodbye here.
Thank you for all the people commenting. Thank you for all the hilarious comments.
Yeah, thanks for all the comments and that we ignored. We ignored all those comments. If there's one more to come up, you can take me off and put them up, and then you guys go. And
what are we doing?
What happened? What happened?
What happened?
What happened?
Fred Willard.
When I disappear, everybody just say bye-bye. It's your quick little bye. It's just a quick little thing.
Go.
What?
What?
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Au revoir.
Bye.
I was texting Dave the whole time. I was texting the word ding to make his phone go off. I love watching him get verklempt.
I was wondering, it's like, what is going on with those things? I should have put my notifications on Do Not Disturb. So anyway, thank you all for
our postmortem. So
that's right. Stay on board. Everybody, we'll be back again with another. I don't know what the topic is going to be next Monday at 8 p.m. But we'll find another wonderful thing. Maybe see some of these guys again. I think we should just do this every week for about 3 weeks because we were just touching the surface of all the wonderful stories and wonderful things you guys have going. That's Emily Lester was in the thing there. Look at these nice little comments to take us off. Thank you, Terry. They say I'm just reading them now, just like Jonathan said. We can read them ourselves. Read those. Enjoy. We love you all from SAK Comedy Lab at its beginnings. Congrats to all the guys still keeping it going. Yay. And we'll talk to you all later. Take us out, Mr. John Valinas, and thank you. Good night, everybody.
Glenn Vitetto.
Glenn Vitetto.
Oh, this is going to go slower than I